Are you ready? The Cornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Cornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Cornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Cornelia Stephanie Show, Living Heaven on Earth. When I sit here and I prepare for the show and I listen to the intro, it just always is so exciting to me because we're really living heaven on earth and making our dreams a reality. That is what it's all about. We're leaving behind the old conditions, the old world of what no longer serves us so that we can create the new. So I just want to make a couple of announcements today. Right after this show, I'm hosting another show that I just recently launched last week called The Millionaire Imprint for Women. And it's a movement about financial empowerment for women. It's a 12-week series that assists women or people of all ages to heal their karmic wounds and embody their worth, their radiance from the inside out. So be sure to stay tuned with my interview today with my co-host, Samantha Brown, right after this show. So today's show is also an amazing topic that I absolutely love. And what would it be like to live heaven on earth without making our dreams a reality? I have here today an expert on dreams. She's made her life's work and her journey all about the dream work. And she's here to tell us today all the different aspects on how we can use our dreams to go into the subconscious and making our dreams a reality. So I want to tell you a little bit about her bio first. Kelly Lydick received her MA in Writing and Consciousness from the New College of California. She's the author of the experimental Mastering the Dream, and she's a contributing author to Dreams That Change Lives, that change our lives. Kelly holds certification as a master meditation facilitator, a Reiki master, a crystal Reiki master, and gateway dreaming coach. She teaches writing and personal development workshops and offers private consultations through her company, Waking the Dream. In 2016, Kelly was honored by the internationally renowned Omega Institute of Rhinebeck, New York, with a Juno Award for Excellence in Women's Leadership for her service-based business. She holds professional memberships with the International Association for the Study of Dreams, where she has presented her work on dream studies, the Academy of American Poets, and the Arizona Authors Association. Welcome, Kelly Lydick, to the show today. Welcome, Kelly.
Hi, Cornelia. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Yes, it's so wonderful that you're here today to teach us about our dream life.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got started in your dream work.
It's interesting. You know, I've always been fascinated with dreams, and I can remember from a young age, you know, maybe 13, 14, when I started journaling my dreams and started keeping track of them in a notebook. And believe it or not, I still have those journals, and it stuck with me. I've always thought that dreams were just a fascinating way to explore another sense of reality or another kind of reality. You know, at the young age, I didn't really know what that was or what that meant. I just knew it was fascinating and exciting and wanted to cultivate that in my life. I wanted that to be a point of connection for me. And so, you know, as I moved through my own journey, I actually experienced a health crisis about 10 years ago. And at that time, it really caused me to look inward and to start looking at life a little bit differently. And so I really started to embrace my intuitive gifts. I started to change my diet and my lifestyle. I made a lot of changes, really. And I went back to dreams because I knew that all throughout my life, dreams were a kind of foundation, a place for me to go and a place from which I could work with my understanding about myself. I inherently knew that. And so a series of kind of synchronicities led me to the Gateway Dreaming certification program. And so in 2010, I went through that program and got the certification, and almost immediately started working with other clients to coach them through the process and provide them some more insight into the depth of their dreams and the symbols. And since then, I've continued to make that a cornerstone of my work, and have done some studies, and I've done some presentations with the International Association for the Study of Dreams on different topics, and continue to make that practice evolve, if you will, so that I can continue my reach and expertise and help as many people as possible.
That must be wonderful that you stepped into your calling, which is really to explore the dream world and all the different facets about it, and now do that as your life's work.
Yeah.
And help other people. That's got to feel really, really good that you developed your own signature program, and now you're helping other people doing what it is that you really love, but they can use what it is that they learn with you on how to decode what the dream life is all about in their own life, and make their journey much easier, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So what does it mean that dreams mirror the waking life? What does that mean?
Yeah, I love that question. And I love thinking about what that is and what that means. And part of the way that I work with my clients, as I mentioned, I was certified as a Gateway Dreaming coach, but over this time, I've really kind of honed my own practice and added to that Gateway Dreaming process in my own ways, in such a way that I do feel that the process uncovers the shadow, what we would call the shadow of the psyche. That's a Jungian term. And it really refers to, those parts or aspects of ourselves which we're not totally conscious of or not totally aware of. And in going through the coaching process, we would look at the symbols, and then for example, at the end of a session, we would come up with 2 different questions to incubate on. And those questions that would lead a sort of dialogue between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And the dreams would be the answer, and the symbols of the dreams would be the answer to those questions. And then a subsequent coaching session would look at how do those symbols do the mirroring for us, and how do they reveal those aspects of the shadow psyche, or the parts of us that we need to get to know on a deeper level in order that we can be more present and more conscious in the waking life. And so I found that the symbolism, it can be sometimes a parallel to what's happening in the waking life, or sometimes it could just be really a deeper layer of meaning that's trying to come through and trying to make itself aware, in which case then those symbols, when we decode them, do provide all of the answers. It's really quite fascinating and quite amazing to go through the process, because I feel like every time I talk with someone, they're having an aha moment. And that to me is just, I live for that. It's just so great to see that happening, and to feel that, and to know that my clients are taking that information into their waking life, and it's having positive benefits on everything that they do. It's so cool. So very cool.
That's so wonderful. I'm calling you the dream whisperer, because you help people with their dream, and I also help people realize their dreams in coaching.
Right.
So I call myself the dream weaver.
Perfect.
So
yeah.
It. And I love playing with dreams, and I love when I have dreams, and I love asking for a dream. A very interesting dream happened the other morning when I was just coming out of it, and so I just wanted to run it by you and see what your take was on it, what your take is on it.
I'd love
So,
to. Yeah.
I was noticing that everywhere I went, no one was flushing the toilet.
Ah,
No
okay.
one was flushing the toilet. I had to go in
Yeah.
and I had to flush. And I'm not just talking about number one,
Right.
but I'm talking about number two.
How interesting.
Poopy toilets. And I had to go in all these places and I had to go flush the toilets. And I woke up, no, really. And I was like, this is crap. Here I am, going in, flushing everyone's poop down the drain. People are not flushing their own poop. So
Right.
what's your take about that?
So if I were in a session with you, I would have a couple of questions. Number one, do you know any of these people, or were they just anonymous people in the dream?
There were a couple people that I know. And then there were other people that I didn't know.
Okay. And then did you recognize any of the locations or any of the settings as a place that you've been, a place near your home, anything like that?
No,
Not at all.
no.
Okay. So I would then ask you, based on those answers, I would ask you to reflect upon your role in other people's lives to help them remove all of the crap that they don't want or that they don't need in their life. And what does that mean for your role in that facilitation process? And that's exactly what you do. So I think it's fitting that this dream is actually mirroring what you're doing in the waking life. It's showing you as kind of a leader in a way. You're teaching people how to flush away their own stuff, the stuff that's not needed. It's waste material. If we think of it in a literal sense, it's stuff that you don't need. But if you hang on to it, it actually becomes toxic to your body, right? So the same is true of thoughts and beliefs or emotions that we hang on to that are stagnating. They become toxic within us. So I would just say cheers to you for helping people to get rid of the things that they don't need. I think that that's an affirmation for you. Absolutely.
Oh, Kelly, that's so wonderful, because that's exactly what I thought. I thought, that's what I'm doing. I'm helping people flush away, release old, negative, toxic environments through their physical body. They're letting go of what's no longer serving them. And, and I was just going from place to place to place, just flushing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome. So thank you for giving me that validation and confirmation.
Absolutely.
So would you believe that we've already been 15 minutes into the show? We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to find out a little bit more about your background with your dream work and all of that. So stay tuned, everybody. We're talking to Kelly Lydick, and we're talking about our dreams and our waking life. We'll be right back on the Kornelia Stephanie Show.
Hi, my name is Janet Hickox, and I want to tell you a little story about a story and how my friend Kornelia Stephanie helped me through to the other end of that story. I have gone from the dark of a story I was telling myself that wasn't true to the light of optimism to see my way out of where I was and to where I want to go. And it all started with her scheduling a session for me to help me reclaim my money or my financial empowerment. Up until that point, I had been telling the story that my business was dying, that my business was not successful anymore. And the more I tried to figure out what was going on, the worse I felt about it. And when I had to get ready to do the session with Kornelia, she asked me to go look at the numbers and where I was through the year to date, and then also to come prepared with a number that I wanted to raise my income to. Well, I was quite comfortable with that part, right? I knew where I wanted to be. What I wasn't comfortable with doing is going and looking up those numbers, but I made myself do it, even though I tried to backpedal my way out of the session. She didn't know that, but I was going to try to get myself out of the session. And I looked up those numbers, and it was incredible that I discovered through that process that my business wasn't dying. In fact, I was doing 12% better than I had the year before. So I was shocked. I was shocked literally at the power of the story that I had been telling for months. But more than that, I was shocked that I had allowed myself to get there. And uh, later in that day when I had my session with Cornelia, she pointed out some very obvious things like, how are you going to get where you want to go if you don't know where you want to go? How are you going to get there if you don't have the goals written out, if you don't have it set up so that you know where you are and where you're going to go? Totally makes sense, right? And I had been in business, somebody else's business, as a sales manager for years, and I was a national sales manager. I had awards for sales management. I had business awards because of numbers. And yet when it came to doing my own business, I totally forgot all that I'd ever learned. So by the time Cornelia, working with me in just one session, got me to look deeper at the numbers and where did I want to go, and actually, claiming where I wanted to go, I was filled with a sense of optimism and hope like you can't believe. It was like everything shifted for me. And I am so looking forward to our continued sessions to see how far I can really push myself to get where I've only dreamed of being, where I've never taken the dream and actually brought it into concrete existence. So thank you, Cornelia, for the work that you're doing out there. I appreciate it, and I can't wait to see where I go from here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. You're listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Living Heaven on Earth. And I am with Kelly Lydick, and we're talking about how our dreams support our waking life. And before we went to break, we were wanting to find out a little bit more about Kelly's background in dream work. Mm-hmm. Do you mind sharing with us a little bit more about your background?
Sure. I'd love to do that. So as I mentioned in the first segment, I got my certification as a Gateway Dreaming Coach in 2010. And then I found that there was this organization called the International Association for the Study of Dreams, and they are comprised of folks from all over the world who either have an interest in dreams or who are actually creating clinical studies around dreams. And it's, like I said, it's comprised of international members, and it could be coaches like myself. We also have psychologists and psychiatrists. We have some neurobiologists as the group. What else? I'm trying to think. We have an archaeologist who studies dream archaeology, which is super fascinating to me.
Wow.
And people also just who have a general interest in dreams, who have a lifelong passion and just want to learn more. So the group really runs the gamut between the highly professional clinical research team to just the person who's interested. And I love that about the group because it really gives such a diverse range and dynamic of different ideas and different studies. And it's such a great group that comes together. They come together in person once a year, and then virtually for a cyber conference, which is coming up just starting at the end of September each year. And after I joined that organization, I ended up doing a couple of small studies with the folks that I know, with my clients, on topics including color and the chakras, actually, which was, I think, my favorite so far. And what I found through that process is that in the dreams, we really need to give color more credence, and where color shows up in the context of where color shows up in dreams. And looking at the symbolism from that point of view, we can get insight into the themes that are related to each of the chakras. So for instance, if we're seeing an object in the dream that's red, let's say a flower or something, we would look at the context of the flower and the greater meaning of the dream, and then also see how that symbol is mirroring what's happening in that person's waking life in terms of the themes of first chakra, such as feeling anchored and grounded, feeling secure in their foundation.
Feeling worthy.
Yeah, feeling worthy. All of the themes that would come up around the first chakra, we would look at that in the context of the symbolism. So that's one of the studies that I had done. And I think so far that, that's my favorite. And so I just continue. Right now, I don't have any studies going on. I'm sure that I'll do some in the future. But for now, I'm just working with my clients and really just building, continuing to build my expertise in a deeper and deeper way so I can be of more service, essentially.
Yeah. And I love the group that meets, the group that you were talking about that meets, what is it, once a year, the dream group?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that because, that's when, it sounds like a whole bunch of people get together and they talk about the future evolution of dream work. And there's no blocks or limitations because they're all exploring and discovering how dreams can really influence our lives, right? And how we're wired and how we can use dreams to manifest.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, right? Because that's also another thing. So you were talking about a book of dreams that changed your life. And so why don't you tell us about that book?
Yes. So this organization that I mentioned, the International Association for the Study of Dreams, put together an anthology. Two of our members are the editors of that book, and they put that together as a compendium for folks to dig a little bit deeper and to get some insight in the ways that dreams can change lives. And so that book is organized essentially, by theme, and there's different chapters, and each chapter is comprised of an excerpt from an author, a member of the organization, about a dream that they had that had profound effects on their life, and what came of the dream, description of the dream, and then potentially how it affected their life. And so my dream about a labyrinth, which was actually part of the end phase of my dreaming certification process. And I describe that dream in the book and talk about how that had profound effects on me. And that excerpt appears in the chapter on lucid dreams. And I'll be happy to share that dream with you if you'd like, the excerpt.
Yeah, would love it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So during the program with Denise Lynn, who was the gal who certified in the Gateway Dreaming process.
Oh, I love Denise Lynn.
Yeah, she's so great. She's so great. She had everybody in our certification process do a kind of group lucid dream. And the place where she was living at the time had a physical labyrinth on the property that she had built of stone. So you could use it for walking meditation. But in this instance, she actually used it for our dream process. And she had placed, in the physical, tangible labyrinth, she had placed some objects at the center of that labyrinth. And the task for everybody in the certification process was to enter the dream space and use the lucid dreaming techniques to travel to the labyrinth and go to the center of the labyrinth to see what was there.
Wow.
So everybody in our course had an incubation process, went through the lucid process, then went to the labyrinth and reported back to Denise what we saw. And you would be amazed at the level of accuracy with what folks reported. And everybody was pretty much spot on. She had placed a blue, translucent blue glass bowl and had filled it with water. And she had some crystals there in the center and a few other objects. And so in the dream, my excerpt in the book tells about the actual dream, which was a sort of flying, hovering type dream that went forward and zoomed into the center of the labyrinth to see what was happening there. And it was just, thinking about it now, it's so awesome that actually happened. I mean, really, when you think about it, you're going from the dream life into the physical, tangible world. It just amazes me every time I think about it. And it does feel profound. And I think for me, that was really the turning point, that I started to see dreams as the mirror to the waking life, but also I started to believe in my own capabilities of what I could do in dreams. And that, I think, really provided a foundation and platform for me to be of service to other people too.
Oh my gosh, that's just profound. I mean, the level of confidence that offered to you, right? Because it really, like you said, it changed your life. And well done for Denise for taking people through that.
Awesome.
So that you can really see and believe and know that dreams really do work, and that you can actually use it in your daily life, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's
How
so
can
true.
people get a copy of that book? Where can they find that?
Yeah, it should be available at local retailers, local independent bookstores. What's
it called?
It's called Dreams That Change Our Lives.
Dreams That Change Our Lives. Yeah.
certainly it's available on Amazon and some of the other outlets. But if you have a local bookstore, it's always nice to feed into the local economy.
So I'm curious about the lucid dreaming. What did she have you all do? I'm curious about that. Like, was it like a meditative experience where she took you all in?
Yeah, and she had done it through a recording. Actually, she had recorded an MP3, and throughout the process, we had a series of MP3s that were recorded for us to guide us through. Because of course, we had people all over the world, internationally, and in different time zones. So we would have our set meeting times, and then we would have the MP3 to guide us through. And so use the MP3 and use the dream incubation process. Which is something that I also use in my practice with my clients, and use that process to go into the dream on a deeper level and really focus the mind, focus the subconscious mind, focus the energy of intention, and enter the dream space that way.
Mm-hmm. And so in a meditative experience, and then whatever comes out, that's what you share with the group or with yourself, right?
Right. And of course, the meditation experience or the meditative experience was right before falling asleep. So it leads right from that experience into the dreaming and sleeping state to facilitate it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then, because a lot of people, I'm sure you get this a lot. And I want to talk about a little bit in length on this a little bit later, but remembering the dream, like if you are just falling asleep, and then what happens, you did have the dream, but you don't remember it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And we have a technique for that can help with that. And some folks, I think, are reluctant to work with their dreams at all because they say, well, I don't remember my dreams. That means I didn't have a dream, which is not true. Just because you haven't remembered doesn't mean that you haven't dreamt. But there are techniques, that can work to increase the number of dreams that you remember on a regular basis.
Good. Will you share with us some of those techniques in a little bit?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. This is such an exciting topic. I'm so glad that you're here today, Kelly, sharing this with us. Yeah. We're going to take another break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be back with Kelly.
Hello, my name is Charlene Hess, and I want to share with you my wonderful experience of choosing to use Kornelia Stephanie as my life coach. My life is so different now from where it was when I began working with her in 2011. At that time, I was in a dysfunctional marriage. I had my own business. I was raising 2 children and completely dead inside. After working with Kornelia, I began to gain confidence. I began to learn and understand how to use my emotions in my life. I learned how to process the emotions that were stored in my body, the ones that I thought that I had already worked through in my 12 years of counseling prior to working with her. The process that she had taken me through of using my emotions to heal my life, to use my anger to find peace, was absolutely incredible. I have been working with her one-on-one for many years now, and even though I am in a place now where I am thriving in my life, I still refer to Kornelia as my coach, and I still work with her on an ongoing basis where we're always checking in and keeping me accountable in my growth. After working with her for many years, I decided to go through her wholeness certification coaching program, and it has absolutely been an amazing process. I now am a certified empowerment coach, and I got certified through her program, and I am taking clients and helping them to find the empowerment in their lives. One of the things that I love about Kornelia is that she taught me that I am the authority in my own life. And that was a really difficult experience to go through because it was really fighting against all of the dogma and programming that was so ingrained in my brain that all of the authority is outside of me. But as I began to understand and believe and adopt and know the truth that I am the authority in my life, is when everything in my life started to shift and change. I became responsible for my decisions. I became responsible for creating a life that I love. And now I'm here in this amazing, beautiful place, living a life of so much happiness and joy. And no matter what life throws at me, I have the tools to be able to approach everything from a place of empowerment. And now I have the ability to help other people do the same. So working with Kornelia has absolutely been the best decision that I've ever made in my life. It has taken me from a life of absolute misery and given me the tools to be able to have a life of absolute complete joy. So I cannot recommend working with her enough. I hope that you decide to choose to have her as your coach. Go through her empowerment coaching program, go through her wholeness certification, and I guarantee you won't regret it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. You're listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, and I'm with Kelly Lydick. I've been pronouncing her name wrong. Sorry about that, Kelly.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's a common mistake. No worries. No problem at all.
Okay. Let's tell people about, we have a free gift for everyone. We want to tell them about the free gift, and we also want to tell them how to get to your website, your Facebook, all of your information, email, whatever. Let's start with the free gift because people always love that.
Yes, totally. So what I would love to do for everybody's listeners today is if you send me an email by the end of the month with the subject line Kornelia Stephanie, you will be entered into a drawing for a single Gateway Dreaming coaching session with me. And that's an hour-long session. So one lucky person will be winning a Gateway Dreaming session. Just send me an email. It's kelly@kellylydick.com. And if you also want to go ahead and navigate to my website, it's just kellylydick.com. You can go ahead and enter your name and your email address, and you'll get a free Dream Incubation MP3 download that will be delivered into your inbox for signing up for my newsletter. So that's a good extra bonus for people too.
Yeah, wonderful. How are you going to do the drawing? I'm curious.
I will probably enlist the help of someone that I know. I'll just write the names down and pick them out of a hat.
Okay, that's going to be fun. And will you then let me know so that I can announce the winners, on the future radio shows in the future?
Absolutely. Very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say your website again and your email address, how people can get in contact with you.
Sure. So again, if you email just the subject line Kornelia Stephanie, it's Kelly, Kelly @Kelly Lydick, and it's KELLYLYDICK.com, Kelly@kellylydick.com. And my website is just my name, kellylydick.com.
Perfect. That's easy. Easy. So you're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
You're a mompreneur.
Yep.
Right? So are you a single mom and you work from home?
I'm a single mom and I work from home. As you can tell, I have my baseball cap on and I'm on my couch here. I've been working all morning, and I'll be working a little bit this afternoon, and then I'll be spending time with my son.
You know, this is such an amazing thing that very courageous to be a mompreneur, taking care of your son, living your dream, living your calling, doing what it is that you love, earning an income, serving. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to live your dreams. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
And again, you are a role model and showing other people how it's done, and also helping a lot of people in the process. So who are your clients?
Yes. So, I have a wide range of clients who come from all different kinds of backgrounds. I will say that I work a lot more with women than I do with men, but I certainly have a good deal of male clients as well. And essentially, I think it comes down to people who want to improve their lives in some way. The Gateway Dreaming is only one part of the work that I do. As you mentioned, I'm a Reiki master. I am a crystal Reiki master, although I kind of just think of all of these things as tools in my box, so that when someone has a session with me, I'm gauging what it is the person needs in the moment, and I'm using that tool to help them at that time. So essentially, it's a gamut of people with, like I said, different backgrounds, but everybody who I work with wants to improve upon their life in some way. And so sometimes that looks like doing an energetic clearing. Sometimes it looks like balancing the chakras. Sometimes that looks like going through some consecutive coaching sessions with the dreaming process to anchor into a deeper level of self-understanding and knowledge. And sometimes that looks like just doing kind of an intuitive counseling session where I listen and be a support and provide a mirroring or a feedback to that client to help them make some good, sound decisions for the next steps in their life. And I think particularly the dreaming, I think that's the biggest part of my work, but certainly for me, it's the most interesting. And I found, even with these other modalities, that the dream work is really one of the fastest ways to zoom in like a laser on what is going on. If there's an energy blockage, or if there's a faulty belief, or if there's, I've had some folks who are storing trauma memories and, the energy in their bodies of trauma. So anything like that, I really do feel like dreams are the fastest, quickest way to zoom right in, pinpoint whatever it is that needs to be, examined or healed or released or transformed, and just do it and work through it. That's I think really why it's so exciting for me. I've not found another modality yet that works as quickly to, I guess it's really raising consciousness too, right? Because when we're looking at the dreams and the dream symbols and getting that self-understanding and getting that knowledge, that is a form of becoming more aware. So in the modalities that I've worked with, or even kind of dabbled in to try and see, do I like this? Does this work well? There are processes that I'm not certified in, and there's a reason for that too. I haven't found that those particular veins are working in the way that I want to achieve work. It's not to say that they don't work, just not in the fashion that I want to exhibit. And so I've chosen these specific things because I feel like they kind of work in synergy together and can go in quickly. And I think that's what a lot of people want. We want to be free from pain, or free from challenge sooner than later, and so that's really one of the goals in doing this work, is to just help people move to the next level, help people grow, help people understand themselves, right, and improve and transform. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And because you're going straight to the subconscious is what you're doing with the dream. And really that's where all the negative limiting trauma and beliefs are, because that's how we were conditioned between the ages of 0 and 7, where all the beliefs were conditioned upon us, right? When we were the most vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And so using the dream work, that's your gateway in, and then you're using all your other modalities like the crystal work or the Reiki mastery, or some of your coaching and counseling skills to assist other people then to release some of the old trauma out of their physical bodies, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So do you have like packages? You said it goes pretty quick if you begin with the dream work. This is what I love about being on this path, is that it doesn't have to take 20 years, the way that it used to in coaching and counseling, of releasing fears and traumas from our bodies and from our physicality. It doesn't have to take long, that we can shift through those old conditionings pretty quickly if we let go of resistance and really want to move into that self-healing, right?
Yeah, I think so. And so, it does depend on a person's background and what their experiences are. And I have a pretty comprehensive intake form that I use when I start working with someone. And I always say that, they need to fill it out to the best. I don't mind getting 3 pages of information, because does nothing but help my process to move through it more quickly, but it is a rather comprehensive intake. And so everybody that I work with is required to use that intake, and that we use as a starting place for the work. I'd like to say I typically work with people with a certain time frame in terms of how long or how many months, but it really is individual. I've worked with some people with just a couple of months and worked through something very specific, and that's it. And I've worked with people, more longer term, who have, more things that they want to work on or work through. So it does vary individually. But I typically do, packages of 3 sessions at a time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And because I think at a minimum that gets to the heart of at least one topic. And then I just go from there depending on the needs of the client. Mm-hmm.
Right, right. Yeah, because again, it varies because everybody's in different places. So people can find out about those services that you offer at kellylydick.com, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And are you on Facebook at all? Do you have
I am on Facebook. I actually have an author page on Facebook. Yeah. So folks can, if you type in my name in Facebook, you can click on my author page and like my page, and you'll get updates there about shows like this, or book releases, or motivational quotes, or inspiration. I try to make it as uplifting and inspirational as possible.
Right, right. So what is it, some of the tools that people can start using right now? What can people do right now to enhance their dream, awaken their dream life?
Yeah, there are a couple of different things. I work, like I said, I work with clients in the dream incubation technique, and that's something that I have people do each and every time they have a session with me, and we formulate that process together as part of the session. That's a partnership as part of the session concludes each time. For folks who don't often remember, there's something called the rolling technique, which I'd love to share. And then there are some other nuances about dietary habits and alcohol intake, and small things that we might not think of that are pretty normalized in our daily society that impact our dreams. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like one of my things is that I'm the kind of person, because I put out so much energy, that I'm the kind of person, I need 9 hours of sleep, right?
I believe it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I need 9 hours of sleep. And when I don't have that, and I usually know, like, my dreaming, I know, my dreaming usually happens, early in the morning when I remember, okay. And that's when I have my dreams. And then right away after that, I wake up, and I've trained myself with it. So that would probably be another technique, right?
Yeah.
That people use. But really getting good rest, wouldn't you say, is a really big, important healing aspect of, because we do so much healing in our dream state, in our sleep.
We do, and we do the healing work, but we also, that's our mind's way of really
letting go.
Letting go, but also processing and categorizing short-term memory and converting it into long-term memory as well. So, and also, just the slowing of the brain waves and the autonomic nervous system, that's really where we recharge on a physical level, on a cellular and biological level. So there's many things that are actually happening all at once when we go into the sleep state, not just looking at the subconscious mind and kind of the story that it's playing for us. It's quite fascinating, really quite fascinating. I was thinking earlier this morning, actually, like, I wonder what my son thinks about going to sleep and falling asleep, what he thinks it is. I think when I was young, I didn't actually know what sleeping and dreaming was. Like, I'm thinking back to, maybe 4 or 5, like, what's actually happening when I dream? I don't know, maybe perhaps that's what spurned my interest in the journaling as an adolescent, just not knowing what it was, but it is a place to recharge. And the dreams take place. The newest research is interesting because it says now that we are dreaming in non-REM states, although the dreams that take place when we're not in REM are less likely to be remembered than the dreams that do take place in REM. And roughly for different people, it's about 90 minutes. So for you, for example, if you're sleeping for 9 hours, you're going to have an REM phase every 90 minutes throughout the duration of that entire 9-hour block. So, right. So each of those REM phases is another kind of opportunity for
a dream.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I found that I think people remember, unless you wake up in the middle, like you go to the restroom or something like that, you'll typically remember the dreams in the later part of your sleep. So the last, 7, 8, 9 hours, those tend to be more cognizant as you wake up typically than the first dream per se that you have that night.
Kelly?
Yes?
We're going to go to break.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back with Kelly Lydick.
Okay.
Okay.
My name's Bob Skeel. I'm 91 years old, and I want to take a few minutes now to share with you the important role, actually the critical role, Kornelia has played in my life. I say critical because I'm not sure I'd be alive at all to the many possibilities that make up our human experience at my age, if not for her. I could have easily become another dead man walking, only half conscious, stumbling through my remaining years, if it hadn't been for Kornelia. 6 years ago, I lost my wife to Alzheimer's. We'd been married for 61 years. I never thought I'd be a widower, but there I was, suddenly lost and alone, but with the good sense to set a working goal for myself. I was going to spend the rest of my life committed to unconditional love, whatever that meant and wherever that took me. A year or so later, Kornelia came along, helping me over several years to focus that unconditional love where it had never been focused before, on me. My whole life, my entire being had been focused on love of neighbor, and I had derived great satisfaction from that. But in the process, I had ignored the second part. I love your neighbor as yourself. Now it was time to direct that love inward. I didn't see that right away, but Kornelia did, and she drew me there. She drew me actually to God. Through many conversations over coffee and after numerous, sometimes tearful, agonizing discussions, Kornelia was able to lead me, kicking and screaming, to within where I needed to be. It was there finally that I was able to re-identify myself. It was in bringing unconditional love to myself that I now saw myself in a new light, a fully conscious, worthy human being, capable of healing, loving, and creating in my own right all these gifts of the evolutionary process. I'm a new man now, younger as I get older. I don't move as fast as I once did, of course, but my smile is quicker, and I engage the heart and mind of others more readily. I would likely not be at such a wonderful stage in my life if not for Kornelia. I owe my new life to her, a wonderful friend, and a constant source of inspiration. Thank you, Kornelia.
We are back with Kelly Lydick, and we're talking about making our dreams a reality. And before we finish this segment today, I want to tell you all about a service that I'm offering called Wealthy Roots Women's Circle. And this Wealthy Roots Women's Circle is in a support for the Millionaire Imprint movement that I am launching with my co-hosts on Fridays from 1 to 2 here on this channel. And so the Wealthy Roots Women's Circle, you can find out more about it on my website. Go to KorneliaStephanie.com, and there's a box that says Wealthy Roots. And this is a 1-year program that is a transformation program where every 2 weeks you will meet with me bi-weekly on Zoom, and where I support you in living your dream and also changing the trajectory of your financial life. So this powerful when we work together as a group, and there's so much more harmonization that happens, and you can also submit your questions beforehand that I will be answering during that time. So it's a very affordable price at $396 for the year. Be sure to sign up at KorneliaStephanie.com. And so Kelly, wow, it's been an incredible learning here with you today. So tell us a little bit more about how people can, what techniques they can use.
Sure. I know the time goes by so fast, doesn't it? It's amazing. I'm so happy to be here and share with you. And, one thing that I think people can start to implement right away that they can do even on their own is start working with the dream incubation technique. And essentially that just means that you're setting up a dialogue process between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, or also you could use it to access the higher self as well. So it can work twofold in that way. really, really simple. Almost, I always say it's deceivingly simple, because it's like, how can I do this one simple thing and it has such a profound impact and a profound result? All you need is a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, and a small container with a lid. Those are the only 3 materials that you need for the dream incubation process. And you essentially want to write a question to yourself, to your subconscious mind. For instance, what do I need to know about my next steps in my business venture? Or what information does my higher self have about necessary dietary changes? Things like this, open-ended questions that will guide to a certain topic and then get the answer in the dream life. So once you have a question formulated that you want to work with, you simply write that question on this piece of paper, fold it up so that the printing or the ink is not visible. And then you use the dream incubation process right before the very last thing you do before you go to sleep. And you use that piece of paper, fold it, and put it in the container. Now, as you write it out, what you should do is repeat it back to yourself, either aloud or silently, at least 3 times. Okay, so it's really letting the language process, letting the language sink in, opening up those gates so that the mind can come to an answer for you. And once you've read that question aloud or silently to yourself, like I said, you just fold it up, put it into the container, put the lid on the container so that the energy of that question is contained, and then place that container at the bedside table. And then just be prepared with more pen and paper when you wake up to jot down the notes about the dream. I think where it maybe gets more tricky is to interpret the dream and start looking at it and analyzing the symbols. So that part of it maybe requires a little bit more focus or more depth. But certainly the incubation process, it's just simple. You just write it down.
I love that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that because I've got a couple questions right now that I'm curious about.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that, Kelly. That is so perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it's deceivingly simple, because it's like, all I'm doing is writing this down on a piece of paper and then putting it in a box with a lid. But I think it's actually the whole process from start to finish is focusing the mind, getting clear on your question, setting the intention that you're going to have the dream that's going to give you the answers, really containing that piece of paper in that container with the lid, and then just letting your subconscious mind or your higher self do the work.
Yeah. And you know what? It makes so much sense, because what it's doing, it's creating the container for you to have communication with the field, with your higher self, with all of that, right? And, and just like if I was to come to you and ask you a question and you're going to answer me, right?
Exactly. Yes. So, when folks work with me in private sessions, I always employ the incubation technique in some form. Every client is different, so everything is tailored. When I work with someone, it's completely tailored to them and their specific experience. But certainly everybody that I work with does use the incubation process in some form.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
KellyLydick.com is where people can find out more about you. KellyLydick.com.
Yep.
What's your email address again?
Oh, yes. Don't forget, for the listeners who want to go ahead and enter into the drawing, just go ahead and send an email to Kelly@KellyLydick.com and put Kornelia Stephanie in the subject line, and I'll enter you into a drawing for a free session.
And Kelly, I would like to invite you to become part of my resource library that I'm putting together. I am putting together a resource library of people that I refer people to. Sure. So please send me a paragraph of what it is that you do. Yeah. And, I already have your photo, and then we'll be putting this on a PDF, and it's going to be available on my website for people to, if they want to work with dream work, that you're the go-to. You're the go-to person.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
So a couple more words and then we have to go.
I think it's just that the best thing to do is to just start this dialogue with dreams, getting in a deeper state with yourself, and getting the self-knowledge can happen through dreams. And from there, I really think that anything is possible. I do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. You're awesome. Good work in the world. And we'll see you again. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next show, the Kornelia Stephanie Show, The Millionaire Imprint with Samantha Brown. See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.